welcome into the BATify podcast as we get ready to break down the divisional rounds of the NFL playoffs for the 2019-2020 postseason. We are once again joined by Blake Hollimon. How you doing, Blake?
Yo.
And
well, how are you guys?
Doing good. And Will Myhan.
What's up?
And obviously Ben Hayes is with us as well here for the Ben and Travis podcast. We went as a podcast. We went 3-1 overall with a couple of coin flips. The only one we lost was the one that we all picked to win, and that's the Saints. So the kiss of death reigns for the Saints. As far as I know, they're going to hang on a few more days to see if their Bayou Bengals can pull out a win.
And that's why we are a legitimate sports podcast.
Exactly. Why you should not go with our picks and put any kind of bet on them whatsoever. So what we'll do today, we'll update that Blake and I are tied at 2-2 personally going in, while Ben and Will are tied at 1-3. Even more evidence to keep it down. And so we'll go like we did last week. We'll let Blake jump in and do a little analysis, let him make his pick. Then we'll go Ben, Will, and then I'll wrap us up before we move on to the next game. This weekend, we've got in the NFC, starting on Saturday, we've got the Minnesota Vikings at the San Francisco 49ers, the Titans from the AFC at the Baltimore Ravens, Tennessee Titans at the Baltimore Ravens for the evening game, probably one of the shortest playoff games ever. They're going to run that ball. Then on Sunday, we got the Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs. And then the weekend will wrap up with the Seattle Seahawks at the Green Bay Packers. And so with that, I'll turn it over to you, Blake, with a little analysis on the Minnesota Vikings at the San Francisco 49ers.
All right, we got Vikings 49ers. The Vikings come in here with a 10-6 record. The 49ers come in with a 13-3 record. They were the number one overall seed, so they had the first round bye last week, and Minnesota had a tough game against New Orleans. The spread in this game is San Francisco favored by a touchdown, so Vegas is really thinking San Francisco is going to get the win by about 7 points. We all know who the quarterback is, Mr. GQ, Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's done a great job for the 49ers this year. They play tough defense, and their offense is efficient enough to score points. They've got playmakers, George Kittle at tight end, and they made a big-time trade for Emmanuel Sanders during the middle of the season. Minnesota, they're always tough, but I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers to get the win at home against the Vikings.
All right, Ben.
I'm going to go 49ers on this too. I mean, I've not really watched either of them play. I did watch listen to a little bit of the Minnesota game the other day. They sound tough, but it was a tight game, and I just feel like San Francisco seems like they've got a little bit more firepower, so I'm going to go with San Francisco.
Will?
You know, I'm going to go a little bit opposite since I scored so well against Blake last week. And I'm going to go with the Vikings just because of Kirk Cousins and his love for Jesus, and Dalvin Cook. He's done pretty well on the ground a little bit. So I'm going to go with Cousins and Cook and the Vikings.
Well, I'm gonna roll with San Francisco. I think they've got a little bit more firepower. Of course, I would have said the same thing last week for the Saints. So I'm kind of waffling, but I'm going to go with the 49ers to keep us from busting out the coin this week, at least right off the bat. Will's going to try to make up some ground, and I'm not saying that's out of the question, but I'm going to go with the Niners as well. All right, the next matchup is probably, I guess, I don't know, maybe just because of our location being in the South, probably one of the more interesting matchups of the weekend.
Whoop.
It's going to be some old school football, and I'm pretty excited about it. Whatever the outcome is, I'll be pretty happy about it. We got the Tennessee Titans going on the road again to take on the Baltimore Ravens, the number one seed in the AFC. Blake?
Man, it's going to be this is going to be a really tough game for the Tennessee Titans to go into Baltimore. Baltimore 7-1 at home this season, and they're favored in this game by about 10 points. Different locations in Vegas. The NFL MVP this year is definitely Lamar Jackson. No one has had an answer for him all year long. He's thrown for over 3,100 yards, and he's rushed for over 1,200 yards, and he's accounted for 43 total touchdowns, and he's only thrown 6 interceptions. I don't know if the Titans are going to have an answer for him. There are not a lot of playmakers on Baltimore's team, but they don't really need them. I mean, Mark Ingram, we know he's really good. He can pound the rock. Their best receiver is their tight end, Mark Andrews. But Tennessee, they got it done last week in Foxborough against Tom Brady and the Patriots. We know what Ryan Tannehill's done. He's lit a spark into that Tennessee team. Derrick Henry can pound the rock down anyone's throat. And we've seen the emergence of A.J. Brown on the offense, the rookie out of Ole Miss, receiving the ball. So it's going to be a tough uphill battle for Tennessee on the road, hostile environment in Baltimore against the NFL MVP, so I'm going to go with the Ravens, even though I don't want to. I just think the Ravens have too much.
Yeah, I'm an Ingram fan. I mean, obviously we got 2 Alabama guys running against each other. I love it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what happens with it, and I love Henry and the Titans and want them to win this game. But I'm kind of like you, Blake. I think that Lamar Jackson and Ingram and all those guys up in Baltimore are probably going to handle this one. I just feel like they've got a little bit more. They're going to be at home, and the Titans, are emerging and doing better, but, they struggled to get the win. And I don't think that Brady and them were as strong as they have been in the past. So I really think the Ravens are going to pull this one out too.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow suit here, just in the hopes that if we all pick the Ravens, the Titans will win.
It worked last time.
So it's just, you look at Lamar Jackson and them; they just look pretty tough. But so I'm gonna pick the Ravens, just in hopes that Henry and the boys can get it done.
All right. Well, I'm going to ruin that for you, Will, and I'm going to go with the Titans because
he's only doing that because he wants the Ravens to win.
It's true. I just keep waiting for the Titans to be dumb and do what I said last week and go in like trying to make Ryan Tannehill something that he's not. At least Mariota isn't going to be back there because they're known to try and make him a superstar when he should just be turning around, handing that ball off to Derrick Henry and letting him rock and roll. Although I do think that there is some underestimation of the defense of the Titans. You got Rashaan Evans back there. I think, once again, I think Ben nailed me. I think the Ravens probably win this thing, but I'm pulling the Titans. That's who I'm picking. And so I'm going to roll with, as much as it hates for me to say this, Tennessee. I very rarely call them Tennessee because
you can't handle that.
Yeah.
Hey, so here's the question. Does Derrick Henry ever get tired? Like, how can you run that hard against that kind of –
Give that man 40 carries.
He's got to. I mean, that's the way it works.
It's incredible.
Still throwback, pound it. I mean,
and seems like he gets stronger as it goes.
Like, did you see the end of the game? Did you see the end of the game against the Patriots? I mean, they did not want to tackle him.
He was just headhunting.
They were worn down.
And he's like one guy against 11, and he's still pushing the pile. I mean, it's just crazy.
Well, the example that I go to is in that game towards the end of the game. I can't remember if they scored a touchdown before halftime or got a field goal, but they throw the slowest developing screen I've ever seen at the pro level out to Derrick Henry, and he catches it, and it seemed like there was 10 seconds before a Patriots player showed up to even try and make a tackle. I mean, it's like, it's just a physical and mental toll of having to tackle that guy over and over again.
He's a beast.
I'm just looking forward to the fact that I'm an old man. This game starts around the 7:00 hour. If they run like they should, I mean, this thing's over in 2 hours. and I can go to bed. So
I'm talking about.
Whoever wins, wins.
I'm kind of like you. I'm good with either one of them. I like both teams. So
yeah. So Blake, we're on to Sunday. The first game on the ticket is the Houston Texans at the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, this game is pretty interesting. We have the Texans at the Chiefs. The Texans have to travel to Arrowhead after a close game last week against the Buffalo Bills. It actually went into overtime. It seemed like neither team really had a desire to win that game. Yeah, so we know what the Texans have. Deshaun Watson, he played an okay game. Hopkins, he's a great wide receiver. We saw J.J. Watt come back, and he made some big plays for them down the stretch. So if that Kansas City offensive line is going to have a tough time blocking the Houston front. Kansas City, on the other side, they've got probably the most talented quarterback in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes. They've got the rushing attack with Dammy Williams, Travis Kelce on the outside, as well as Tyreek Hill. So there's going to be a lot of offense in this game, I believe. I think the defenses may be a little suspect. So I think this one comes down to coaching. Andy Reid hasn't been great in the playoffs, and Bill O'Brien hasn't really won anything either. But I think Andy Reid is a better coach than Bill O'Brien, so I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs.
I know Mahomes just makes some crazy plays and he's fun to watch. But I went with Blake every time. I feel like I need to go against you at some point. But I had in my head I was going to pick Chiefs here too, so I'm going to.
I'm following suit once again, but not based on stats. Blake and I went with my cousin Lucas up to Kansas City for a baseball game, and I ate the best barbecue I've ever had at a gas station.
Oh, yes.
And so just on the basis of
the Z-Man.
Yeah, it's an incredible barbecue sandwich. But just based on the gas station barbecue, I'm going to roll with Kansas City.
All right, Kansas City Chiefs home. They're the number one seed. No, they're the second seed, I guess. They're the second seed in the AFC because the Ravens are the number one seed. And I'm going to go ahead and give the Kansas City Chiefs, the kiss of death, and we're all going to roll with the Chiefs.
What?
On Sunday, Kansas City.
I thought you were
Texans.
Go with them because I think their defense is so suspect, but I think the Chiefs have enough to overcome. Plus, the Texans beating the Chiefs earlier in the season, it is hard to beat a team twice. I think we'll get to see the Baltimore Ravens try to beat Kansas City twice next week. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs as well. And then finally, a matchup of the Seattle Seahawks will be traveling to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
Yeah, this game is probably going to be the closest game, at least on paper. The spread is the closest out of all of the four games we have this week. Green Bay's favored by 4 points at home. Russell Wilson, and the Seahawks, they caught a break last week. Carson Wentz went out with a concussion, and I don't think he returned to the game. But that was still a low-scoring, tough-fought game. And I think the same thing is going to be happening at Lambeau this weekend. Seattle, Russell Wilson, he finds a way to get it done. He's a great athlete. I think he'll be in the Hall of Fame one day. But let's look at what the Green Bay Packers have. They've got Aaron Rodgers, who they've got a new coach this year. They seem to be clicking pretty well on offense. Aaron Jones is their running back. He's got 16 touchdowns on the season. And then Devontae Adams, who is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, he's on the outside for the Packers. The Packers' defense is okay, but I think this one ultimately comes down to defense, and I think the Seahawks are going to get the road win this weekend.
At you. I'm going to go number one with Aaron Rodgers. I think he's still got his mustache, and it's just a amazing power stash that he's got going on. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers, the frozen tundra, the Green Bay Packers, city owned, all that good stuff. I like the Packers. I'm a fan of the Packers, and I mean, not like overall, but, I do like them. And I'm just going to go with them. I think that they've got it at home, and they're going to take this one. So I'm going to go against Blake for the first time in this round.
I'm gonna stick with my pal Blake here. Was just looking at some statistics, and one of them was the Seahawks are 8-1 on the road this year.
That's pretty significant.
So I'm gonna go with the road team and Danger Wilson with Russ, and go with the Seahawks for me.
I like.
What is it?
Seahawks.
Will went with the Seahawks. And boys, I think we're gonna have to bust out the coin flip of doom.
Yeah.
As much as I like Seattle, and everything in my coaching regimen goes, hey, defense, running the ball, got a good quarterback, I want to go with Seattle. But if my older brother, who has an affinity for Wisconsin Badgers and Green Bay Packers, hears of me going against them, he may try to kill me with his wheelchair.
It's been done before.
Ben was there.
He's attempted it.
So I'm going to go with Green Bay, because I'm pretty sure that if Wizards exist, Aaron Rodgers is one of them. And I think he's a little step more powerful than Seattle's Wizard of Russell Wilson. But it wouldn't hurt my feelings if I was wrong on this. So I'm going to go with Green Bay. That splits us down the middle. So we're going to go with the coin flip of doom. I've got a quarter this time. So we've got Washington on the front. He's going to represent the Green Bay Packers. And, of course, the wonderful bald eagle on the back will represent the Seahawks. So here we go. It is the Green Bay Packers. George Washington.
Packers.
Rolling with the cheese heads.
The cheese heads. Can you imagine this silhouette of this profile of George Washington with a cheese? What I'm thinking.
It's going to be a crisp 27 in Green Bay on Sunday.
That'll be fun.
Is there going to be anything falling from the sky is the question.
It's got the little sunshine with the clouds,
okay.
so I don't think
maybe
so.
not playing in the snow. That could change things a lot.
All right, so as a podcast, we're going with all the home teams. We're going Niners,
Interesting.
Ravens, Chiefs, and Packers.
I think that's
pretty
good.
Picks. Hey, did we talk last time, Travis, about what our pick is for the national championship game next week?
We did not.
This coming?
We did not.
We probably ought to do that.
We can do that now, or we can do a separate podcast. Whatever you guys want to do.
That's just one game.
I don't want to tell you what to do on your show.
Do it. National championship, Blake. What you got?
Ooh, man, I've gone back and forth.
On our original podcast,
one.
I believe we picked LSU to win it all.
We did. But things have changed.
Yeah.
So we've got – so you want me to do some analysis on this one?
Roll with it, man. Let's go.
Do it.
All right. We've got Clemson and LSU, the Battle of the Tigers, and also the Battle of the Death Valleys.
Good call.
So we've got Trevor Lawrence, who is not eligible for the draft, but everyone suspects that he will be the first pick in next year's draft. And then we've got Joe Burrow, who is more than likely going to be the first pick of this year's draft. He'll be going from the Tigers to the Bengal Tigers up in Cincinnati. The run game is essentially even. I mean, we've got Travis Etienne, who is a game breaker. He can take anything to the house. He's the fastest player on the field for Clemson. And then we've got LSU with Edwards-Helaire at running back, who is probably not as explosive, but the guy's a little more crafty, and he can explode for a touchdown at any given moment. The thing that I think it comes down to this game is definitely going to be defense. Both of these offenses we know are explosive, but if we go back and we look to history and we see what explosive offenses do in the championship game, it's normally the defenses that come up making stands and win the ball game for you. LSU's favored by 5.5. I think that spread is perfect. I think LSU is at least 5 points better, so I'm going to stick with LSU, and they're going to win the national championship.
I think my pick is probably going to go with LSU as well. Although, let me let this be stated. I think LSU, as we said before, is going to win the whole thing. But Will's brother is pretty solid. This may be part of Will's pick, so I won't take it all. And he's had a pretty good record this year on picks, and he kind of shook my world a little bit and said Clemson's going to take it. So I don't know. It's going to be a tough one, but I'm going to have a hard time picking against LSU, and it's down there in New Orleans, right? So it's practically a home game. So for LSU, so I'm just having a hard time picking against them, but I may be wrong. Will?
Yeah, I've had a lot of conversations with Andrew, and I'm just going to roll with Clemson, man. I'm going to switch. Just for the whole Dabo's been there. Dabo's still telling his team that they're awful and they're no good. You know,
if Clemson wins, is Alabama going to claim it?
Absolutely.
We're going to claim it whether LSU or Clemson wins because Saban came from LSU.
And it's SEC, so why not?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to claim it all. But so I'm just going to go with Clemson. I think they played well against Ohio State, gave them a little confidence, feeling it a little bit. So I'm going to roll with Dabo and the boys.
So my question is this: when's the last time LSU or the Saints won an important game in the Dome?
Ooh.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know.
Do you know the answer?
And I'm going to be honest with you. LSU's had a lot of things roll their way, but I almost look at them playing in the Dome as a bad thing. Because I think that Clemson has the champion, like in professional wrestling, has the champion's advantage.
Yeah.
And things just seem to go their way, man. It just seems to roll their way. I'm going to go with Clemson. Go with Clemson, which means we're going to have to bust out
the coin of doom.
Coin flip of doom.
Hey, while you're flipping the coin, did you see what the guy paid for tickets on the 50-yard line? He bought 4.
No.
He paid $76,000.
Whoa! What? That's a lot for a game that I might regret going to. You know what I mean?
I can't believe that he's not giving us those tickets.
All right, so I've got LSU's history in the Dome if anyone wants to hear about it. 1985, they played in the Sugar Bowl. They lost. 87, they played in the Sugar Bowl. They lost. 2002, they played in the Sugar Bowl. They won. 2004, they played the national championship there. They won. 07, they played the Superdome. They won. Or in the Sugar Bowl. 08, they played in the national championship. They won. 2012, they played in the championship. They lost.
They did. Didn't cross the 50.
Yeah, baby. So that's a 4-3 record since '85.
Yeah, it's.
But I think Dabo's closer to Jesus. So here we go. Dabo is represented by George Washington because it says "In God We Trust" on the front.
There you go.
And the Tigers are represented by the bald eagle because, well, Auburn. Here we go. And the coin flip, and it's going to be the LSU Bayou Bengals are your national champions.
All right.
LSU on the coin flip. All right, guys, I appreciate you spending this time with us. Be sure, as I usually do, to give us your picks. You can hit us up at facebook.com/Ben and Travis or twitter.com/Ben and Travis. Appreciate it, Blake, Will, Ben. Y'all have a great week.